Hi and welcome to the Wilson Chala's YouTube channel. We are dedicated to preserving and sharing Zambia's rich history through topics like culture, politics, finance, and education. From traditional ceremonies to trending stories, parliament proceedings, and everyday voices, we bridge Zambia's past to its future. Join us in building a timeless digital archive, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and now let us explore the story you've been waiting for.
Hi everyone, first off, thank you for being part of this journey with me. This channel has grown because of your support and I don't take that for granted. I want to share a quick update. I'm making some changes to how I put together videos going forward. You may notice a bit more commentary and context from me on stories. I'm putting extra care into making sure every video brings real value, not just footage or news clips repackaged. My goal has always been to inform, educate, and entertain you with content on Zambia's education, current affairs, and culture. And I want to keep raising that bar.
And only the Master shall praise us. And only the Master shall blame, and no one shall work for money, and no one shall work for fame, but each for the joy of the working, and each in his separate star shall draw the thing as he sees it, for the God of things as they are. End of quote. That was Paul, and that was how he felt. He saw eternity not as a release into permanent inaction, but as the entry into a body in which service could be completed. Paul does not despise
Thank you very much, the Defense and Security Choir. At this moment in time, I take this very, very rare opportunity to invite the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to address the nation and the mourners. Mr. President.
You may take your seats, please. Thank you very much. Please do take your seats. May I recognize Charlotte and the family, children, grandchildren, close family associates, Mr. Kasolo, my brother, and others. May I recognize former vice presidents of our republic that are present here. I've seen a couple of you. Also, may I recognize the former first ladies and partners to vice presidents, as it were. May I recognize the representative of Chief Justice, representative of the Speaker of the National Assembly. May I also acknowledge the presence of ministers, former ministers, our brother, elder brother, Emmanuel Chanda, who spoke here together with your colleagues, and just the past members of cabinet. May I also acknowledge colleagues in the UPND Alliance, colleagues, leaders of political parties, in this our constitutional democracy. I recognize you, Secretary of Cabinet, service chiefs, and indeed traditional leaders. Mr. Chenda says our recognition of those present tends to belong. This is the culture of this country. So I shall do it. May I also acknowledge the members of the diplomatic corps that may be present. And may I say clergy and all the musical groups that have sung today, wonderful songs that have been given, the homily, beautiful, wonderful homily. Thank you very much. The press, distinguished mourners, and friends of Dr. Scott and others. I think a lot has been said about Guy. A lot has been said about him and the consistency with which the speakers have raised these issues underscores really that the story is being told correctly. And I want to believe that this represented who Guy was, true, clear personality all the time. Some people mutate into other things conveniently, but Guy didn't do that. So today, we are gathered here to mourn a son of our country, son of Zambia, and we bid farewell to him, a noble citizen of our country. You have heard he was born in Livingstone and loved this country, chose this country to be his own. And I believe the country chose him as well because it responded to his choice. And so that was mutual. Guy had choices to live anywhere in the world, given his endowment, his intellectual endowment. At that level, you can be a citizen of any country in the world with that kind of talent, because many countries look for talent like what Guy had. So, but we know
Let's
he got his
take a quick
education
pause here,
partially,
but don't worry,
then
we are coming
in our
right
federal
back to
state,
finish this
I
story.
believe,
I just want to say a
Federation
quick
of
thank you
Rhodesia
for watching all the way to this point.
Southern Rhodesia
This
then,
channel
that moved
exists
on
to breed
to Cambridge,
Zambia
as you
with
heard,
its future,
to
bringing you
Sussex,
daily
Oxford,
updates on what is happening
but
across
still
education, current
home
affairs,
court,
and
as we have
entertainment.
heard. And I think we're grateful
If
to
you
Guy
are already a member of this
in the
channel,
state
thank you
for
for
the
your
choices
support.
made.
Sharing this video
Make Zambia
with a
his own
friend
country.
or family member
And
really helps us
service
reach
that he
more
rendered
people.
to us
And if you
with
are
his skills,
new here, this is a
choosing
great
to work for
time
the
to
public
hit
sector
that subscribe
at
button
that early age,
so that you catch
rising
our
to
next
member of
upload.
parliament,
All right.
minister, vice president, and superintending over our country's affairs. When we needed somebody like Guy, he was there. So truly, Guy saved this land and its people with distinction, clear, as you have heard, and honor. To him, as you have heard, as a farmer, which I am as well, believe that farming is noble. If you want trouble in a country, let a citizen go hungry. Then you'll have trouble very quickly. Don't we know it in this country? Part of what propelled the movement for multi-party democracy in the early 90s was the food riots in the late 80s, starting on the Copper Belt. So some citizens think that farming is for certain people. I think farming farming is fundamental. It's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Food, very important. So we acknowledge Guy's contribution to our agricultural sector. And I'm glad that one of his sons has continued on the journey of producing food for us all. And so thank you to Guy, and thank you to you for continuing with the family tradition. As we have heard, Guy was a steady hand. Minister Chenda spoke clearly about that situation. I know he was conservative a little bit. It was a very difficult time for this country when President Sata died. The uncertainties that surrounded what this country would be, and the internal issues within PF were actually heavier than issues outside of the PF. And that's a fact. And the competition for who succeeds President Sata, who keeps the country together, was extremely intense. In fact, it was frightening inside the party PF, inside the PF government. And Guy provided leadership. And I think the nation sometimes must reflect on such critical moments and say who helped us walk through that difficult situation. And Guy was there. Guy was there, encouraged by not many, but by a small number of people inside the PF, because a greater number of the members in PF wanted to go in a difficult direction. And Guy, clear to who he was, true to what he was, stood his ground. And we want to thank him for that as a nation. Please, family, take note of that. As a nation, on behalf of 21 million Zambians, we thank this guy here, Dr. Guy Scott, for what he did. Guy chose duty over ambition. As you have heard already, the selfless, safeguarded the constitution of our country and the much cherished peace. This country is known for its peace in the region. Never gone to war within ourselves, not with neighbors. And Guy really helped us through to maintain that tradition of being a peaceful country, which asset really has helped us walk through difficult situations as a country. And I want to ask Zambians to retain that asset, to value that asset of peace and service commitment beyond personal interests, national interests first. And all the time, those of us who are leaders seeking leadership, remember, national interests first, and your personal interests should be subservient to those of the nation. And I think Guy did exactly that at a time we needed it the most. You've already heard, I don't want to repeat, Guy was honest, candid, witty, and fearless in his own way. And you needed to understand Guy, if you didn't know him for a long time and you were interacting with him, you needed to understand that he was a special human being. Sometimes he came to you as being a little bit naughty and disrespectful. Actually, it was his level of intellect that made him behave like that sometimes. But when you looked inside a little bit, you understood what he was trying to say or do at that particular moment. I'm one of those that benefited from that sort of wit, if you like, but deeply respectful of his ability to interpret a situation that an ordinary soul may not be able to do that. And that brought about peace, brought about an understanding that ordinarily could have created some difficulty. So thank you, Guy, for that. I think, as we have heard, he was a voice of reason. I must say a few things about Guy's ability to unify people even in challenging times. Guy never saw ethnicity, race or color in fellow human beings. He saw us as his fellow citizens, colleagues, yes, trained, educated, skilled differently. And that is important for us human beings to recognize. You won't always face people that are of your profession, look like you, but they have something that, if combined with yours and others, you create greater value. 1 + 1, always not 2, but it's 2 + 1. That is what we value about this gentleman here. Yes, he was intelligent, but came out in a very simple way, simplistic way. But again, that underscores this complex brain, which sometimes can be misunderstood. Guy built bridges. I remember when UPND tried to work with PF in 2009. And again, there was a lot of noise in the country whether this would work or not. And there's one person I always tried to reach out to see if he could help explain our intent as two parties trying to come together to save the nation. And so I want to confess that I would have quiet moments with Guy and say, look, how do we weave our way through this difficult situation? And Guy always had something positive to say about it. And he knew how to deal with Microsoft. I think speakers here have tried to touch that. He knew exactly how to angle his issues with Microsoft. I don't think many would have done what Guy did to deal with the president, then President Sata. But Guy came handy even before President Sata became head of state. And Guy understood the importance of one Zambia, one nation, one people. Truly understood that. More than many of us of our black extraction who believe we know our country better. Guy understood the importance of bringing the country together, and so that we can deliver common good for our ordinary citizens. He understood diversity. It has been already said, but I must also say something here. Guy knew that this road, this direction people are walking to, even if it looked glamorous, is the wrong direction to go. I'm saying it in simple words, because he understood that the way things were going in the country economically, we would crash. Early on, before many citizens understood that gravity train of borrowing excessively, of consumption habits outweighing investment habits in a country, would lead the country to a crash. And we did crash. Guy knew that much earlier than even colleagues of his that worked around him. And we found common ground on that aspect. And I think, again, it goes to his ability to understand things in a complex way, even when others are not yet in that position. So I want to say that, Brother Kasolo, that's what was the genesis of us working together again. Because we tried to work together in 2009, it didn't work. And then we returned to our agenda, quite an agenda. And Guy was kind enough to allow Charlotte to even run as our candidate in Lusaka Central. And later on, Guy and I campaigned together. And one day we were on our helicopter from Mumbwa, we were going to Mpongwe. And in his strange ways of expressing things, he says, you know, HH, I saw some people at Ngabwe there. Can we turn the helicopter around so we can greet the people at Ngabwe? So I said, really? We have limited time there. We are being tracked, as you know. We may not be able to address the people in Mpongwe. Guy said, HH, I'm telling you, tell the driver to land, find the space to land. I said, all right, we'll do that. So I told the pilot, not the driver, the pilot landed, found the space. It's the beauty of the helicopter. In a hostile situation then. So we landed, and then says, I'm going to pass water before we go to greet the people out there. So you follow me. So I followed him. So I passed water as well. He says, you see why I asked you to stop? So he says to me, you moving with you is a serious problem because you can get arrested any time. So you better pass water here because where we are going you may get arrested. And the cells are not too good for you. That was Guy, right? And we passed water, we walked over, greeted the people, got on a helicopter, and true, when we landed there, we couldn't address the people. It was tear gas all over the shore, and we had to fly to another destination. I said, we delayed it. But he said, I saved you, because if we had come early, we could have been caught up with the tear gas and the bullets in there. So let's go to the next destination. That was Guy Scott, anticipating things which an ordinary mind may not anticipate. So we really mourn him for that, and as a country, we will miss him. But he left us with enough lessons, and I'm sure we'll utilize the lessons as a country, as a people. One of the things that when we won the elections in 2021, we realized that vice presidents in this country were never looked after post their service in office. Just totally ignored. Judges were being looked after. Speaker of the National Assembly was being looked after. But surprisingly, the vice president's second office in the land was never cared for. And I asked Kangwa, as Secretary of Cabinet, I said, Kangwa, this is an anomaly. How can this be? He said, this is how it is. I said, no, I'm going to change it. He says, how? The law does not allow you. Then I asked the Attorney General to interpret the law. The law was not specific about what could be done, but it was specific about what could not be done, was to basically take care of the vice presidents in an open way. I mean, directly, as the welfare of the people who serve this country in high office, but also looking at Guy's contribution, as I explained what Mr. Chenda said, which I amplified, that it was not right to do a thing like that. And following that, I asked the Attorney General and Parliament to legislate so that Vice Presidents are given formally now, which the law did not do, retirement benefits. And I'm glad to say that I want to thank Parliament for passing that law. That law is now in place. Former Vice Presidents, all of them, irrespective of a political party, because they served this country, are now on retirement benefits. Unfortunately, Guy has left us. But obviously there are provisions on how that happens. And I think it's important that as a nation we appreciate, understand that we don't deliver as presidents as individuals. We work as team members. We have teams that work with us, and those teams matter to the country and our quest to improve the livelihoods of our people. Guy's lasting legacy, even as we head towards the 2026 elections, true to what Guy stood for, let us love this dear country, which Guy called home. Let us do everything right to protect the country and its people. Let us serve the people as Guy loved to serve his people. Let us work for inclusion and not exclusions during this period. Let us talk peace and not plan violence towards this election. It's obscene to plan how to execute a violent plan only because of the election. No. It's competition to serve. It's not competition to fight, to injure. It's competition to serve. Vision, policies, ability to implement those policies is what matters. Let us focus on unity and not division in our country. Farewell, Guy. Rest now, Dr. Scott. The land you loved salutes you, Guy. The people you loved honor you as the speeches that have been given. Your work is done. Your legacy is indelible. It's absolutely cannot be etched out of the Zambian history. It isn't there, it's engraved. And I think for the writers, let's write our history properly and correctly. And if we do that, Guy will sit in a very good position in our history as a country. We wish Charlotte and the family, friends, strength as you carry on. May Guy's soul rest in eternal peace. I thank you. Thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and picked up something valuable along the way. So tell us, what is one thing you learned today? Drop it in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. Looking ahead, our goal for this channel is simple: to keep bringing you honest, well-researched and engaging content on everything happening in Zambia, from education to current affairs to entertainment. We are just getting started. If you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss what is coming next. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.